Good morning, everyone. How you doing? Welcome. Today is the PreStream podcast. That is right. Just like every day, there's a PreStream podcast. What I meant to say is that today is Saturday, May 28th, 2022, and this is the PreStream podcast. How are y'all doing today? I hope I find you well, and I hope I find you better off, at least more stable than what's been going on around here recently. Let's put it that way, okay? Welcome. We're halfway through the streaming week, right? And that's a good thing. It's been a fun week so far. We had some variety. Today we're actually going to have even more variety on the late stream tonight. Returning to WWE today, which is good. It's been a good ongoing playthrough you guys have enjoyed. But, you know, all around and behind the scenes of everything, things are very annoying. Let's put it that way. Well, how can I say it? All the tech stuff around me is having issues. OBS in particular, which is the program that I use to capture and stream open broadcast software. After 5 freaking years, okay? 5 years of using exactly the same setup, and I'm not exaggerating either. Like basically in late 2017, when I started doing full-time streaming again on Twitch, okay? I jumped from using this other capture software, which actually I can't even remember. What was it? XSplit? I think it was called XSplit. For quite a while, I was using capture software called XSplit. And to use XSplit, you had to have a paid subscription, and it had some nice features and the like. But at this point, you know, I was looking to transition over to full-time streaming, something that you have a little bit more kind of control over. And I ended up jumping to OBS, which is free software you can use for streaming, which tons of people use. It's not just me. Tons of people use OBS to stream. And I had a certain setup that I set up at that time. That's when you started seeing the leaderboard. That's when you started seeing pop-ups show up on the stream in conjunction with contributions and the like. And I've basically used variations of that same exact setup for 5 years. I haven't touched it. I've left it as is. I was running on a version of OBS Studio that was like version 21, okay? And that was like from 2017. That's how old that version is. And I never updated it. And over the years, people kind of got wind of that and were like, what are you, a dinosaur? What are you, an old man? You're afraid of technology? Why wouldn't you update it? Well, the thing is, it's not that I was afraid of change. I was afraid of change that would ruin what I had going. And let me explain. I grew up in the formative years of PCs, the 1990s, right? In a very short period of time, you went from one of the most primitive PC setups you could have, all text-based, right, to actually having a GUI, which is a graphical user interface, meaning having a cursor move around and click on pictures and things to direct your PC and all of that. And then many iterations of that GUI, Windows, where every time that Windows was updated, something would dramatically improve and something would dramatically be fucked up or be lost, okay? Like, I lived in that era. And then over the 2000s, I was a PC builder where I would make PCs from scratch, buy the components, buy the software, install, build myself. Had a network of PCs in my parents' home where I used to play Unreal Tournament and stuff like that, okay? And I've been there, done that. I know that when you've got a good thing going with technology, in particular with PCs, you really don't want to mess with it that much. That is as well-intentioned as, you know, the people at Microsoft with Windows could be, as well-intentioned as people who are making streaming software like OBS could be. They could really screw something up inadvertently, or in the attempt to make something better, scale it back, and now you can't do what you used to do with it. Okay? So that's why for 5 years I had OBS working in the way that I love. OBS is doing everything I wanted. I had a leaderboard I could control. I had all these things, a slideshow every morning of artwork that I could run on the pre-stream. You know, pop-ups to say thanks to all of my viewers that improved over the years, right? First they were just static images, then they became these big motion animations and everything. And I really liked how professional the stream looked, because let me tell you guys, I'm not a super professional guy. I don't have technical know-how. As I've explained to all of you over the years, a ton of my success I owe to you guys. You guys who like my content, who like me as a person, who support my efforts to put out quality streams every day, and you do fan submissions of all kinds of stuff. Again, artwork, animations, all the stuff that you see on the stream here. Fan made, except for the leaderboard down there. I mean, yeah, I made the numbers and colored them. Big deal. Outside of that, everything else around here, all right, is fan made, okay? And I appreciate that. You guys making an honest effort, saying we love what you're doing, we want to make it look better, submitting fan art, submitting borders, submitting pre-stream stuff, animations, everything, right? It's really awesome. The emotes in the chat that we use for memberships, fan made. I don't have the capability to even do any of this stuff. I don't even have graphical editing software or anything like that, and I certainly don't have the know-how to do it. So I gotta say shout out to the fans and viewers who over the years have always contributed to make this look way more professional, okay? So, the crap hit the fan yesterday, and we're going to talk about that on this pre-stream because, honestly, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know how to fix the problems at this point. Even some people who have helped me all along the way with this stuff don't know what's going on and why it's not working anymore. So that's bad. And I guess what we got to talk about is what are we going to do in the short term and what are we going to do in the long term in regards to this. The good news here is, at least for now, as you can see, it's working. I mean, I can still broadcast my podcast. I can still record gameplay. That's working. The problem is everything else around it. All the bells and whistles that I had on the stream that made it look really nice are basically malfunctioning and not working properly. Okay? We'll talk about the specifics in a few minutes. I want to cover some other stuff first before we get to this subject. But that is really the matter right now, because it was kind of like yesterday was a bittersweet day, and here's why. 2 days ago, I appealed to all of you. I said, guys, things are not going so well for me right now. Things are financially tight, which they are right now, really financially tight. And because I had had a series of 2 weeks where support on the streams, in particular tips, were quite low, mostly because, number one, there's no new releases right now to bring people to the streams outside of my core fan base, and number two, because I received gifted memberships on YouTube, which, you know, prompted people to do that. But then as they gifted the memberships, tips dried up, and that's not good because I rely on tips to basically do day-to-day stuff, pay bills, go grocery shopping. You know, daily costs are paid for all by tips, and I haven't really recovered since a year ago when I used to be a full-time streamer on Twitch and had, you know, over 900 subs, had tons of cheers coming in constantly, and that's been dramatically reduced since I came over to YouTube in the last year, and I'm not back up to the level I was on Twitch, which is why I've had increased tips goals, but now we're not even hitting, like, the tier 1 tips goals anymore. So, why was yesterday bittersweet? Because yesterday people rallied. They saw, oh, man, Phil's hurting, let's help him. So they came to the streams, they supported. I hit the tips goals on both streams. That was great. That's going to help, you know, and I hope we can keep that momentum up, obviously, for the rest of the streaming week, because that would help tremendously to make up for the fact that the last week and a half was so slow. And then as all this positivity is going on, OBS just stops working right with zero explanation and zero understanding of how to fix it. You know what I mean? If you don't know what I'm talking about, right now, Saul Martinez just did a super chat. If you haven't noticed, there's no pop-up. Thank you, Saul, for the pop-up. I will, excuse me. Thank you, Saul, for the super chat. I will give you a shout-out near the end of the pre-stream, as I always do. Okay? So, yeah, we'll talk about this in a minute, and the specifics of it. Maybe some of you have some experience with something like this. Maybe you don't. I don't know. I guess we'll see if we can figure this shit out or not. Okay? All right, anyway. Before we get to that subject, let's talk about the schedule for the rest of the week, because now we know exactly what's going to happen for the most part for the rest of the week. And, of course, I want to talk about this big event next week. So, first of all, I've already gotten some people kind of coming to the streams in the last day or two wondering, when's the next React event? Phil, we really like when you do React, right? The last React event that you did was 2 weeks ago when you reacted to your own Down the Rabbit Hole video, and we really enjoyed that. In fact, just to give you guys some perspective here, taking a look at performance-wise, how it did, that Down the Rabbit Hole React event is now just about 2 weeks old. Actually, just under, because I uploaded it as Saturday night 2 weeks ago. Part 1, over 14,000 views. Part 2, 9,400 views in climbing. Part 3, over 10,000 views. To put that into perspective, that far outperformed my react to that Final Fantasy house. And actually, even the Wings of Redemption react, which was the first one that I had ever done, okay? The only part of that one that outperformed anything I did with my own was part 1, which now has over 19,000 views. But all the other parts there have 8,000 or less. I take that back. One of them, okay, 9,000 or less, I should say, because one has 8,800 views and then lower. So basically what happened with the Wings of Redemption react, that was the first one I ever did. And a lot of people had curiosity of what it was going to be like. And they wanted to click on that part 1 just to see what it was. And then when they did, they said, wow, this is interesting, right? That this has turned out the way that it did. We like it. We didn't expect that Phil was going to be empathetic to Wings. We didn't expect that Phil was going to have so much insight to add. And this could be a really fun ongoing series if Phil continues to do it, right? But then what happened is, they just wanted to see how it was. They didn't really particularly care about Wings of Redemption. They just wanted to see how the series was going to be. So then that's why you have such an insane drop-off. You get 19,000 views on part 1, and then it goes down to like 8,000 views on part 2. You know, 10,000 people didn't care to click on part 2, you see? But in regards to my own react, which was a 3-parter, you know, way more carryover. And still getting views, still getting, 2 weeks later, it's still growing by like 500 views a day and getting, within a couple of days, another 1,000 views, which is pretty awesome. Okay. So that's cool. And obviously, we're in a situation where people like this now and want it all the time. And I've already told you guys, listen, please be patient, because there's a couple of things about React stuff that I want to clarify. And the first is that, no, this is not something that I'm going to be doing constantly. Why? Because when you do something all the time, it just becomes commonplace and it's not special anymore. If I'm going to do some kind of a React event or whatever, I want to do it and hype it up and schedule it so people know exactly when it is. You anticipate it, you show up, it feels like a special event when I do one. It's not just, oh, Phil's doing it every other day now. It's like, what the fuck? Like, what's the point? It's no big deal anymore, right? In addition, I don't want to just do the same kind of reacts all the time. I would like to diversify the kind of stuff that I react to. Case in point, in the next couple of weeks, there are a few digital events coming up that are going to be covering video games that I'm interested in reacting to. On June 2nd, there's the Sony State of Play, which I think we can watch together and do a react to. I think it's at like 3 p.m. So what I can do is just do a regular stream till 3 p.m., swap over, we watch it together for half an hour, right? And do kind of a live reaction to it. And then after that, do my own kind of recap and summary video, like I would usually do for E3 style stuff. And then a week after that, it's Summer Games Fest. And then a couple days after that, there's the Microsoft Press Conference, you see? So with those, that's a completely different kind of react, because instead of me reacting to drama shit, which I don't want to do endlessly, I just don't. I'm actually happy that we're kind of doing a lot of the drama stuff now and getting it out of the way, so that way I don't have to do it forever because I get tired of it. But now we can actually do it to, gaming stuff, which would be nice. Now, in addition, I want to diversify the React stuff outside of that as well. And I did, as I announced yesterday, I'm working on basically getting permission to react to a variety of content on the internet. That way, maybe once a week, right? We say, okay, it's a React night or whatever, and once a week we just open up a video and can react to it, because I have permission to do so, by the way. And there's a variety of stuff. Like, one of the things I'm interested in doing is reacting to like videos on mysteries or the supernatural or unexplained phenomenon and stuff like that. I think that could be pretty cool to like watch a video actually covering the facts about something, and then we kind of try to analyze it together and try to figure out what really happened in this situation, or speculate. It's pretty fun. I like that kind of stuff. I've always been into suspense and mysteries and the supernatural kind of stuff. I used to watch Unsolved Mysteries. I used to watch Ripley's Believe It or Not, but I used to watch other stuff like, similar to stuff like that too. So again, in an attempt to diversify the content that I'm putting on the internet, I feel that this could be something very interesting that I can kind of add to my rotation of content. It breaks up the gameplay, so it's not gameplay constantly every stream. And also, it will diversify my audience, I feel. Like, people maybe start coming to watch other stuff as opposed to just the gameplay, which is definitely my intention. I want to diversify my content. At this point, I told you guys when I turned 40 in early April, I realized this is not something that I can do forever. DSP, the gamer, is great, and I am a lifelong gamer, and I will play games as long as I can. But already, I notice I'm getting older. My hand's starting to get tightness and pain, and carpal tunnel is going to set in eventually as I get older. I just know it, okay? It's not going to be going on forever. And so, I definitely would like to do some varied content, all right? Sooner rather than later. And so that's what I mean. Like, the drama stuff's fine, but you can only stomach so much of it. First we did Wings, and then we did my own video, and now we're going to be doing this John Rambo and Howard video in a week. By the way, we'll talk about that. It's in 1 week's time, okay? But I don't want to constantly just be doing that shit. I don't. You can only, like I said, you can only stomach so much till you just feel like it's boring. You do too much of this nonsense, right? As much as, how many people like drama shit, I would rather do a better variety of stuff, okay? So anyway, I am working right now, okay, on trying to get permission to do a variety of topics and a variety of style of stuff that I can react to, whether it's documentaries about certain people on the internet, or whether it's, like I said, like maybe true crime, maybe suspense, supernatural, that kind of stuff, those kind of videos. I think that could be pretty neat, okay? So we'll talk about that as we move forward, all right? But what I'm getting at is, remember that in a week's time is the big React event, okay? Let's talk about the schedule for the week so you guys know what's coming up. So, today, WWE 2K22 continues on the first stream here. I'm still on SmackDown, and I'm having fun with it, but admittedly, I just became the champion of SmackDown. Likely, I'll do a few more plot lines, and then if they have opportunity to switch to Raw, I'll probably switch to Raw, the other show, and that's like the final leg of the story of WWE 2K22, okay? If you are watching the WWE 2K22 playthrough live, welcome and thank you. You guys have been a great audience and for the most part been quite supportive. If you're watching on demand on YouTube, keep in mind all the videos are continuously still getting claimed and sometimes blocked in certain regions. So I would appreciate it. If you are enjoying on YouTube, please understand I'm making absolutely nothing on those on-demand videos. If you could contribute in another way, whether it be a channel membership, maybe gifting some memberships, maybe checking the description of the video and leaving me a tip, that would really, really help. Okay? Okay. Tonight, we're doing something completely different. Tonight, we're going to be checking out a new game that's released on Game Pass overnight. It's called Pac-Man Museum Plus. Now, what this game is supposed to be is a trip down memory lane, experiencing all of the classic Pac-Man games from the 1980s in arcades, going forward into the 90s and all his different console versions of the games that came out. And I guess someone who had played it last night told me it actually has kind of like an Animal Crossing vibe to it because you're able to like have Pac-Man go in a house and build things in a house and simulate like a house where he has all his games in it and stuff. And I guess as you play more of the games in the game, you unlock even more. So it's kind of like you play some, you experience the classics, then a new game unlocks, you check to play the next one. It's like progression unlocks. Certainly not something that's going to be crazy time consuming, I don't feel. We're going to give it a shot tonight just for variety purposes. It's on Game Pass. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty cool to at least check it out and go down memory lane because I used to play Pac-Man games in arcades back in the day when I was a kid. And to experience the history of this iconic character. At one point, Pac-Man was the face of video games, if you can believe it. Like, before Super Mario Brothers, and before Sonic the Hedgehog, and before Crash Bandicoot, and all those mascots of the 90s, Pac-Man was the one giant character representative of video gaming in the 80s. All right? So it'll be pretty neat. Now, if we have a good time with it, after tonight's late stream at 6:45 p.m. Pacific time, by the way, we have a good time with it and you guys want to see more, I'm totally cool with having it again in the rotation, maybe even Monday night. But if we play it once, we're like, okay, it was nice to go down memory lane, but there's no substance here. You know, we played the classic games, we've seen them, then we don't have to play it ever again. Okay, but at least it's something to check out, and it's on Game Pass, so there's literally no risk and all reward. You know what I'm saying? Like, much like Sniper Elite 5 a couple days ago, it didn't matter, you know, that it sucked, because at least we played it once, we saw what it was, and now we move on. That's the beauty of Game Pass. I'm getting value out of Game Pass this way, and I really enjoy that, okay? Big Papa Phil says, do I remember the Pac-Man song that became popular? You mean, Pac-Man fever is driving me crazy. And then later on they said, the follow-up, do the Donkey Kong. Yeah, I remember that. Okay. So there you go. Anyway. So yes, we shall see. We shall see what happens moving forward. But I don't know if we're going to play Pac-Man again or not. We'll see. Okay? We'll play it tonight. Tomorrow. All right? Tomorrow, we will go back to Skyrim Anniversary Edition for a nice chill stream. And I hope you guys will join me for that. We had a great time yesterday doing a lot of odds and ends and missions and stuff. We still haven't done any major plot in like 2 streams, which is fine. That's the whole point of the game, is sometimes you can just immerse yourself in open world chill stuff, and whatever you discover, you do. I've been having a great time doing that kind of variety, and I hope that you guys have been enjoying it as well. All right. Sunday night, Uncharted 2 continues. We're only 4 hours in, but we finally got to the point in the game that has the temple puzzles, which is, in my opinion, some of the best parts of the game. I love those puzzles. And we're having a good time with it. I'm excited to continue that Sunday night and to see how far we get. And then on Monday, it'll be more WWE. And then Monday night is up in the air, because Monday night could either be more Zelda Link to the Past, in which case we'll probably take on the 3rd and 4th dungeons of the Dark World, or we could go back and we can do more Pac-Man if you guys liked Pac-Man tonight. Okay? So we'll see what happens and go from there. Abdullah, I'm going to answer that question in a moment. He's saying we're going to play Mario Strikers in June. Actually, I'm going to answer that in just a few minutes. Okay? The answer's coming. All right. I'm off from streaming on Tuesday. When I come back on Wednesday, all right, it's going to be a balance, again, on the day streams between WWE and Skyrim. And then the night streams, again, will be a balance between Uncharted 2 and Zelda, and maybe Pac-Man if you guys liked it. This weekend is the big event for the week, okay? Now, as I said, June 2nd, which is Thursday, I'll be reacting to the Sony State of Play. It's only a 30-minute event. It's at 3 p.m. Pacific time, so what we'll do on that day, Thursday, I'll do a normal stream until 3 p.m., then we'll swap over, and I'll do a live react to the Sony State of Play, and then immediately after that, do another video where I'm kind of recapping, giving my reactions to everything that we just saw. So it'll be my first attempt to do a live react to an actual gaming event. I don't know how that's going to go. We'll have to see. Okay? Cool. All right. Then, 1 week from today, Saturday, June 4th, is the special event, a marathon day, DSP reacts to John and Howard's expose from 2015. All right? This is the video, which really isn't a video. I guess it's just an audio recording. It's so weird, the circumstances around this. All right? And I'm going to talk about it in depth that day, but no one can seem to remember what the original upload was. Was it a podcast that was uploaded to John Rambo's channel, or was it somewhere else? Was it always only audio? Was there ever video attached to this thing? Because sometimes back in the day when they did podcasts, they had a video, and other times they didn't. It's just so unclear what this even is. And the weirdest part about it is the only parts that are left on the internet are about an hour and a half long. We don't actually know the original length of this recording, because as you're listening to it, you can hear the audio cut. Yeah, you can actually hear it jump without smooth. It's not just all one smooth recording. You can hear the audio cut. And it's like, why did the audio cut? Like, was this cut up? And were there parts omitted? And was this edited at some point? Right? To make it sound like a certain way? I have no idea. I can't even confirm the authenticity of everything in the recording. But all we can do is react to it. Right? So, yes, that's what we're going to be doing. Now, it's a hour and a half long recording. However, listen to this. The thing is, this recording is so old. It's 7 years old. It's directly referencing, within the first 5 minutes, this thing directly references 2 to 3 things outside of the recording that you don't understand unless you've watched them. So as the recording is playing, there will be all these frames of reference happening. I'm going to have, oh, well, Phil said in this video this, and then I'm going to play the video so you guys see what I said. Okay? In some cases, that will immediately damn me and show that I did something stupid. And in other cases, you'll actually see like, oh, that's what he really said. Okay, now we understand the context, so let's see what's being said about that. You see? So it's going to be very interesting in that regard. And I'm excited to finally address it. It's been 7 years, and I purposely waited 7 years to address this because I felt like back in the day this would hurt the guys if I did negatively address it. At that time in my life, it was one of the worst times of my life in that point in 2015. That was the year when all the negative shit had happened to me. Doxing, swatting, having my channel destroyed by false copyright claims. Like every negative possible thing. All the This Is How You Don't plays were at their height at that time. So it was really, really bad. And I was just like, I can't handle this. You know, I just couldn't. I just basically, I can't handle it. I'm just going to ignore it. And hopefully it doesn't carry over to my content, you know. 7 years later, the world has changed. Those guys don't even actively make content on the internet anymore. I don't really feel like addressing anything they said in that video will hurt those guys because they don't have an internet presence ongoing. I do. And at this point, I would love to get this out of the way and finally address it and put it to bed so I can move on with my life. Because I do feel like the whole, every day, oh, what about John Rambo and Howard? What about John Rambo and Howard? Fine. Let's put it to bed. Let's address it and get it over with so that way we can move on and stop asking me questions about that shit. You'll have something to reference to get your answers. Okay? Okay. So the thing is, this is going to be a whole marathon day. Why? Because their audio recording is 90 minutes long. Adding in context adds in another half an hour. So it's a 2-hour video to watch. And if you took any kind of reference to when I did the Wings of Redemption video last month, or was it 2 months ago? Actually, I think it was in April now, wasn't it? I think it was. That took me 5 hours. Yes, 5 hours to get through a 2-hour video. I almost predict it'll be exactly the same, if not longer, with this one, because I have so much reference to add to it, you see? So, that being said, next week, 1 week from today, this is happening. That same day, since it's a marathon day, we're going to do a Feasting with the King episode. The cuisines that currently are in the running are Vietnamese, Szechuan Chinese, and poke bowls. I may come up with a fourth cuisine for you guys to vote on in the meantime, but as of now, those are the 3 options that you guys will be voting on starting this Wednesday. There'll be a poll here live on the channel on the community tab where you will vote on the cuisine that I will try during this event. Okay? Should be good. I'm excited for that. So, marathon event. Reacting all day, have some food for a break, get back, and get it over with. Okay? You know, it's funny because I say that. Listen, again, I want to explain. This is not a hit piece against those guys. It won't be. It's going to be me. It's going to be me addressing all these concerns that these guys had 7 years ago, finally. And in a lot of ways, just fessing up to a lot of stuff. In a lot of ways, admitting how bad of a friend I was at that point because it was such a crazy, tumultuous time in my life. Those early formative years being a content creator and a YouTuber. And especially that year of 2015 when I moved out here and everything went wrong. Within a year's time, you know, everything was falling apart for me. And thank God I'm in a much better place now. All right. But it basically needs to be addressed. It's always been a lingering thing that's never been addressed. And I feel like, you know, I should have at some point. And at this point, I think it's time to fess up to a lot of stuff I did wrong. At the same time, I can absolutely tell you there's stuff in that video that's untrue. Or at least half-truths spun in a really bad way. And that's why, like what I told you guys over the years, I actually really feel that that video was created to end the friendship officially. It already was over behind the scenes. These guys weren't talking to me, weren't responding to anything that I tried to contact them with. They were basically had blocked me from their lives. But then they made this video, I think, to put an end to it all. So, but again, I get so ahead of myself every time I talk about this. We're going to fully address it next week. I don't know why I do this every day. So anyway, this is exciting. This is next Saturday. I hope you guys will be here if you can. It's going to be something interesting for sure. to go down memory lane. It's going to be funny because in a lot of ways, I know I'm going to be reminiscing and thinking back on the good times that I had with these guys while we're doing this. It's funny. The whole video is them saying bad stuff, but I'm going to be thinking about the good stuff. You know, even today, I think of it. I'm thinking about it right now. Like, damn, it was so much fun back in the day to hang out with John every week and do gameplay. It was so much fun to work on Project 7 together and all this time. And these are the things in their minds, they saw these things as big negative things. In my mind, this was like some of the best times in my life at that time because everything else was play game, record, upload, play game, record, upload, play game. Outside of that, I was having fun with these guys every time I hung out with them. That was like my outlet. You know what I'm saying? But to them, they saw it differently. But anyway, okay. Now, in the realm of new releases, all right, and in the realm of all the stuff else that's going on, there are no new releases until June 10th. I just want to clarify this because some people are like, when's the new release? When are you playing a new game? There's nothing till June 10th. On June 10th, we have a double new release day. There's The Quarry, which is the new, not episodic, but choose your own adventure style horror game from the makers of Until Dawn and the makers of the Dark Pictures Anthology. They're called Supermassive Games. I'm very excited for this. Seriously, I'm very excited for this because I feel that this is a situation where this kind of game is some of the best stuff I can put out. A genuine reaction to a horror situation where you don't know what's going to go on. It's like living a B movie, a horror slasher movie together. Until Dawn, to this day, I still feel is one of the best playthroughs I've ever done in my history. Okay? So I'm excited to check out The Quarry, a feature-length game of horror. You know, it's going to be pretty cool. So I hope you'll join me for that. And then on the same day, Mario Strikers, this is called Battle League or something like that, is also coming out. So yes, I'm checking out both of those games on exactly the same day. And I'll be balancing those two games over time as the new releases, okay? So what I need to do is I need to really focus on WWE because I basically got about a week and a half to kind of wrap up the playthrough, which is fine. Like I said, probably 1 or 2 more streams on SmackDown, then maybe 1 or 2 streams on Raw, and that's probably the finale. So we can wrap that up and we can focus on other new games, okay? Now, in addition, with all these digital events happening in the next couple of weeks, undoubtedly, we are going to get release dates for more stuff. There will likely be games dropped out of nowhere. All right? Like, wow, it's out. A new game. And then there's going to be other games that we're going to finally have answers to release dates. And then we can take a look at the gaming landscape for the rest of the year and kind of plan everything out. Right now, it's almost impossible to do that because there's like nothing, no real news. The little news we get, for example, yesterday, it was an announcement, a teaser, that the sequel to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is coming out. And it's not called Fallen Order. It's something else. I forgot the name of it. It's Star Wars Jedi something. And it comes out next year. And basically all it showed was that, yes, the main character and his robot sidekick return. It is about them again. And look forward to that next year. Great. I mean, we already knew that. It already leaked like 2 months ago that they were working on this. So it wasn't really big news or anything. But we want to know what the hell's going to happen this year with games. So we're hopefully going to get answers in the next couple of weeks with these digital events that I'll be covering. And so hopefully we'll have a better idea of the landscape, what's coming up. Okay? All right. So that's kind of the rough schedule for the next couple of weeks. So keep your eyes peeled for various things. For example, the ability to vote on a cuisine for Feasting with the King is coming up. Of course, that big React event in 1 week is going to be special. Me reacting to all these digital events live is a change of pace that I've never done before. It's all going to be pretty interesting. Okay? Cool. All right. So we got the schedule out of the way. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the elephant in the room, OBS. Okay? So, for 5 years, I've been using OBS 21, OBS Studio 21. And for the most part, the only issue I really ever have with OBS, I take it back. There's 2 issues. Issue number 1 is that sometimes my microphone dies. And I don't know why that happens. It could be an OBS issue. It could be like a configuration issue with the microphone driver with OBS or something. I don't know. But when it dies, usually all I have to do, shut down OBS, open it again, and now the microphone works again. And it doesn't happen all the time. It happens every once in a while, but it's not super often that this happens, okay? The other issue that happens is, as I told you guys, is the CPU tends to get really high use and or max out when I'm doing very high action games. Right now, just with this webcam on the screen and absolutely nothing else, it's using 47% of my CPU. So now, when I shrink this webcam to 480p and I play a video game, my CPU is typically used upwards of 70 to 80%, and then when I get to a high action game with all first person and a lot of stuff going on, it could hit 100, and then all of a sudden, frame drops, choppiness, all kinds of issues. All right, so I don't know if that's a result of OBS or not. I'm just telling you what I see in OBS when I make content. The only other technical issue that I've really had recently is that my capture device malfunctions, but that has nothing to do with OBS. And I can tell you that because I know for a fact it has to do with the capture device and the cables and everything. If I go over there right now and I picked up my capture device and started wiggling the cables, the whole thing would crash. I got to be like gentle with it and be like, oh, I'm recording and streaming now. Stay away from it. Don't touch it. Don't risk having some kind of an issue happen with it. Seriously, I have to be that careful because this has happened before where, I got up and my foot hit the cable and the whole thing malfunctioned. And now I got to restart my PC to get it to work again. Can you tell I need a new build, right? Can you tell I need an upgrade? I'm using this equipment for as long as I have. It's starting to get to the point where it's like, dude, I definitely need to improve things. I got to get an internal capture card that's going to work and not have these stupid issues. All these definite things I can do to improve. All right. But anyway, for the most part, for 5 years, I've been using OBS Studio with nearly no issues. And I've improved my setup over and over. Okay. Recently, adding these cool borders, adding the new leaderboard at the bottom of your screen that you guys can see right there, right? All these new improvements that I've done recently to the streams, it's great. And I like that. And one of the major improvements that definitely along the way, something that everyone enjoyed, was pop-up messages, right? When I am streaming, when people contribute, there's pop-up thank you messages that appear on the screen. For tips, it shows up over here. And that's actually using a program called Stream Elements. Well, not really a program. It's a website interface. And then over here, I'm using Streamlabs for the YouTube side pop-ups, meaning if I get tipped, pop-up shows up over here. If I get a membership or a super chat or a super sticker, shows up over here. Different animations. If it's varied, it's a way to say thank you, right? And people like those a lot. They like getting recognition, visual recognition for their contributions. That's why I added them. Originally, I was completely against it. When I started full-time streaming in 2017, I was like, it's intrusive to the content to have these pop-ups or whatever. Little did I know that literally every content creator is doing it. I'm one of the very few at that point who had not adopted this practice. Everyone else had stopped relying on just YouTube revenue and instead said, no, you got to have all these multiple income sources to make a living doing this. So you got to have this style of daily crowdfunding support through a stream. And everyone was doing it. But me, I was one of the guys who definitely held back from doing that kind of stuff. I was always of the mindset, this is an on-demand, playthrough for YouTube. That's all I care about. It's on-demand for my longtime YouTube viewers. Well, when I became a full-time live streamer, okay, sadly, hold on, I got stretched. Oh, man. That felt good. So when I became a full-time streamer in 2017, I changed my focus to the streams. And when I did, sadly, this channel, DSPGaming, kind of fell into disrepair. I didn't add anything new to it. It was just an archive of my streams every day, which is fine. But look what happened to DSPGaming in those 5 years. It went boo, just like this. My streams were going up. My streams were increasing in followings and subs and things like that. That was good, but YouTube was going down. Now what happens? I'm not on Twitch anymore. Oh, crap. Now I'm back to YouTube, and I let the channel fall apart in 5 years, okay? So that's really what we've been working on the last year is trying to get this channel back up to snuff. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about what happened yesterday. So yesterday, we're doing good, right? People are coming in. They're feeling positive. They're contributing to the streams. They're saying, Phil, we want you to bounce back, from having 2 slow weeks. Here you go. Here's some support. Great. And we're doing all this on the stream. People are like, Phil, you're saying all these people are tipping you, but there's no pop-ups. I'm like, huh? See, I'm not noticing it. I'm so used to when you guys contribute, I have 2 queues. that I have over here. One is for the tips and one is for everything through YouTube. And so I just use those queues to sort out everything. And I shout out everything based on having those 2 queues. Okay. Well, I'm shouting everything out. I'm adding it to the leaderboard. I'm doing everything. And there's no pop-ups. And people are they're noticing this over the course of the day. They're like, Phil, there's just 0 pop-ups right now for tips at all. I was still getting pop-ups for memberships and other stuff, but the tips, nothing was happening. And people were like, what's going on? All right. So basically around halfway through the first stream, we realized this. And I took about 25 minutes to try to figure it out. And I couldn't figure out anything. I was like, I don't get it. I tried to do a test. No animation would play. I don't know what happened. This has happened before where there's been a disconnect, but then usually it comes back. I actually tried completely making a whole new animation setup, meaning scrap the old one, make a new one fresh. Maybe a new set, a new link, new data would work. Doesn't work. Okay? To make matters worse, I tested those animations in a browser rather than through my streaming setup, and they work. What does that mean? It means that you can take the link that you're supposed to use to play those animations on your stream. You can just put them into a browser window, and if you click test and it plays in the browser window, it means that link works. It's not Stream Elements that's messing up. It's your setup, your software. Okay? So basically, for some odd reason, over the course of yesterday, OBS, my streaming software, refused to recognize these browser plugin animations anymore. Okay? Now, the first half of the day, it was just Stream Elements. But then, here's what happened. My first stream ends. I thank everyone for an amazingly supportive stream. Thanks so much for your support and everything. Great. But now I got to try to figure out what just happened, why the animations won't work. And the first thing you would think of is maybe it's because my version of OBS is so outdated. It's 5 years outdated. I kept OBS Studio 21 since 2017 and never updated it. There's been 6 new versions since then. Okay? So I'm like, all right, let's get the new version. So I did. By the way, I did back up my setup. There's a way to export your whole setup so all your templates are still alive. If something goes wrong, you can still use them. So I export the templates and everything, and I upgrade OBS. Now, OBS Studio 27.2.4 or something like that. So 5 years of updates. All implemented all at once. Okay? Will it work? Will it not work? I don't know. All right, I start testing it. No, it won't work. It still didn't fix anything. It still won't play these animations. So then I was like, well, I don't understand. And then I tested Streamlabs, which plays the YouTube side. Guess what? Streamlabs also now has stopped working. So now I went from having no tip animations to having no animations at all play on the stream. Great. I tried searching the internet for answers. No one knows anything. Literally, no one knows anything about it. They're all of the impression that this wouldn't happen, or if it happened, that there's an easy fix. None of the easy fixes work. No one seems to know anything about this. Why would suddenly animations just stop working? Nothing changed. You know, I didn't do any driver updates. I didn't do any software updates. Just immediately just stops working entirely. Okay? To make matters even worse, just to compound the issue. Okay? As I told you guys, I had been resistant to updating OBS over the years. Why? I had history with Windows. I had history with other programs in the past that sadly, when these companies attempt to improve them, a lot of the times they screw shit up and scale them back. Maybe for good intentions, but a lot of the times there may be a feature or there may be something that you found incredibly useful and they removed it or changed it over the years. Case in point, today you may have noticed something. When we're over here and you're watching this slideshow, okay? This is all my stream art. This is thank you to all the fans who've submitted these over the years. I really appreciate all the attention and the love and the support that I've gotten from my viewer base to allow me to run creative things on the PreStream. As you can say, all kinds of varied stuff that plays here on the PreStream, right? But you may notice something, all right? There's no animations in this. There were. I had tons of animations. I had an animation of Sakura standing in front of a shop from Street Fighter Alpha. I had me and Bison fighting each other for Friday Night Fights. I had another one. I had one that showed the vest and the hat moving, but they're not here anymore. You may notice this is all just still frames now. You might say, Phil, why is that? What happened? Why are you only have still frames? What happened to the animations? Well, I have an answer for you, and it's not a good one. So over the years, the 5 years in particular that I've used OBS, they have updated OBS over and over. Okay? One of the things they updated was the slideshow feature. Okay? That is the slideshow you just watched. What you do is you set up a slideshow of various images, and they play in a loop on a stream. For particular, if you're doing something like me, taking a break, or you were doing your pre-stream and you want that to show, do some plugs, or reiterate a message to your audience, whatever it may be. Some people even like to do like a photos, like they went on a trip, they'll do a slideshow photos or things, right? Great. That's how I've always used it. Well, guess what? When they were updating OBS, they limited it and downscaled it. Okay? It used to be you could add literally unlimited amounts of photos, pictures, and animations to that slideshow, and it would just play. No limitations. Why even put limitations on it, right? Well, guess what? Over the years, they removed that functionality, and now you can only have up to 250 megabytes of stuff in there. And you might say, why? Well, the answer that's given on the internet is that apparently over the last 5 years that OBS has been out there, complete fucking morons would load like 500 photos into that slideshow, which then causes OBS to completely max out your CPU and crash completely. And when they did that, I guess a lot of people fucked it up to the point they couldn't reverse it. So they ended up having an endlessly unusable version of OBS, because every time they tried to open OBS, it would try to load that slideshow, and the whole thing would max the CPU and crap everything out. Okay? So I guess by having unlimited, giving people unlimited power, there's some people who are smart and are going to say, okay, maybe I shouldn't unload 500 animations and photos into my slideshow. Perhaps that would be a bad idea. And then there's other people who are just fucking dunces, and they just do it because they're morons. So they did it, and now OBS is like, well, now we're getting blamed, right? We're getting blamed for the fact that people are stupid. So we have to scale back the ability of something in there that's nice and useful for a lot of people, because apparently with great power comes great responsibility, and these people aren't smart enough to have the responsibility to not fuck things up on their own PCs. So we have to make it so you can't do that anymore, right? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, okay, you enjoy a delicious alcoholic beverage. It's really good flavor. It gets you buzzed. It's great. But too many idiots out there keep drinking 10 of them, and then they get alcohol poisoning. So there's a mass complaint. They're like, well, then just stop drinking that much. But they're too dumb to do that. So instead, you have to reduce the amount of alcoholic content in your beverage. So if they drink 10 of them, they don't end up in the hospital. That's essentially what they did with this program. It doesn't make any sense, but that's exactly what they did. They scaled it back. So now I can't have any animations on my pre-stream slideshow. If I do, well, here's what happens. There's this unseen limit. And once the program hits that limit, it just stops showing new stuff. So for example, if I have 20 pictures, and out of those 20 pictures, 5 are animations, it'll play one animation, 2 pictures, and then loop back to the first animation and 2 pictures. And then loop back to the first animation and 2 pictures. And all you'll ever see is 3 things. It'll ignore the other 17. Because it'll say, oh, we hit the memory bumper. It's like, what the fuck? How done is that, right? That is really, 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 really stupid, in my opinion. This is, you know what this reminds me of? Remember how there was such an uproar in the United States recently, last 10, 15 years, because obesity is a big problem in the United States. It is. People are constantly eating unhealthy food, drinking sugary sodas. Everyone's getting obese. I'm a victim. I mean, I'm part of that. I almost said I'm a victim. I'm not a victim. I chose to eat what I eat and live how I live, and I'm my weight because of my own responsibility. I'm not going to say I'm a victim of anything. It's me. I put that on me. That's my responsibility that I weigh what I weigh. Thank goodness I don't weigh what I used to. I used to weigh 240, 250. Now I weigh like 210, okay? Pounds, by the way. But in America, we've got a major issue with obesity. So what do? Do you educate the people on obesity and explain to them why it's bad and they shouldn't do this? Should you find ways to convince the populace to exercise or make it readily available that exercise is fun and easy to do? Should you provide healthy alternatives that are easily affordable so that people say, oh, instead of buying the $2 double cheeseburger, I can go over here and get a $2 salad that tastes just as good but is healthy for me? Do none of that. Here's what we will do. We'll regulate the size of soda, and we'll regulate where you can sell soda. I'm not kidding. This has been happening in America. In the United States, they started making laws saying you can't sell a soda of a certain size because the people are just destroying their bodies with obesity. So limit that. Or you can't, like soda can only be provided in a certain way. Yes, this is real. You can look it up. This is happening across the country or has already happened in certain major cities. They've already passed these laws. Okay? Now just think about how dumb that sounds. But literally that's what happened with OBS. There's too many dumb people to use a feature, so make the feature stupid or bad or nerfed because people are too dumb to use the power and they're ruining their PCs. Right? So that's essentially the problem. Now I've upgraded to a new version of OBS. So far, I'll be honest with you, OBS 27 is kind of nice. There's a lot of different things in it that make it a little bit more jump out. Like, for example, muting the mic. Okay? Right now, I'm going to mute my microphone. Now I'm unmuted. You can hear me again. Okay? With the old version of OBS, when you muted the mic, it would just, there was a bar, you know, there's like a bar that shows the level of volume that's being taken in when you talk. And it goes boo, 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 like this as you talk. I see it right now. It's going up and down through green to yellow, depending on how loud I'm being. When you used to mute the mic, the whole bar would just disappear. Just boop, it's done, like blank bar. Now, when you mute the mic, you still see the sound level moving, but it's grayed out. So it actually used to be tough to see just at a glance, is my mic muted or not? You wouldn't be able to tell easily. Or sometimes, like I told you guys, my mic would malfunction, and I would just think that it was muted because it looks exactly the same when it malfunctions or it's muted. Now, as long as I see the bar moving when I'm making noise, I know the mic's still working. I know that's just a really small thing, but that's essentially what it looks like they've improved over the years. They tweaked a few things here or there. From people are telling me there's an ability now to group items. So, for example, when I'm over here and I'm in my game setup, okay, and right now you can see, hello, you can see there's a webcam and there's also the border for my webcam right there. Apparently, I have the ability to tether these two things together. So now when I move them around, they move together as one singular item, as opposed to what I used to do, because you couldn't do this in the old OBS. I had to move the border, then move the camera, and try to align it after the fact. So apparently you could fix that. Now, like, it's all one item now, you see? That's a nice feature. So there are some nice features in the latest OBS, don't get me wrong, but the fact that they scaled back features like something as simple as a slideshow, that's like ludicrous that they did that. I'm actually really scratching my head. Like, just tell people not to be stupid and say if you fucked up your PC because you're a dunce and you added 700 photos to a slideshow. I mean, you could have done that with a regular slideshow too. Not just OBS, but any slideshow anywhere. If you're that stupid, I mean, don't use a PC then. Don't limit what intelligent people do with your program. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so that's one thing. And then the other thing is, I upgraded OBS to 27. It didn't fix anything. I still have, if you haven't noticed, there's no animations. We've had 3 super chats come in this morning. There's 0 animations. They don't work. And I don't know why. Right now, if I test the animations, you know, in a browser, they work. So it's not Stream Elements. It's not Streamlabs. It's not, you know, people yesterday were, oh God, Phil was banned from these services. No, I'm fine. Everything's good. It's working. But for me, I'm like, why can't I get the animations? I don't know. Now, the only thing that I can do further from what I've done would be to completely uninstall OBS for my PC, restart it, do a fresh, pure install of OBS again, and then try to do things from scratch. Could I back up my scene and everything? Yes. However, whatever this issue is that's causing the animations to not play, maybe it's in that scene setup. Maybe there's a corruption of a file or something in there. You know what I'm saying? That screwed stuff up. I don't know. All I know is I changed nothing. I didn't update any drivers. I didn't update Windows. I didn't update OBS. Everything was as is. And then all of a sudden, over the course of one day, the animations just stopped playing for no reason. Even the people who have worked with me over the years to try to figure this out, you know, they've helped me with stuff, can't figure it out. They don't know what's going on. So I honestly don't know what to do to fix it besides a clean reinstall. But a clean reinstall could mean, number one, a lot of time. Number two, issues. Just clean reinstalling it. Maybe my setup won't work. Now from scratch, I have to reset up all my shit again, right? Here's the thing. All right? The way I'm seeing it is as thus. Maybe one day I'll have some extra time and I'll fuck around with this. Right now, I'll be honest with you guys. You know, I stream all day long. You know this. I'm here 10:45 in the morning. My stream goes on. I'm setting it up. By 11:15, I'm talking with you guys. I do that till around 12:30. Then I'm streaming gameplay all the way through 4 p.m. I take a break to have dinner with my wife and sometimes take a shower and sometimes now work out and stuff like that. Whatever I have time to do, cram in. And I'm right back here at 6:45 p.m. and I'm streaming for another, 2.5, 3 hours. And then I got to upload. I'm already, my entire day is full. You know what I'm saying? And if I had more flexibility, I'd say, let me take it a half day to fuck with this. I will clean, uninstall, reinstall, restart, mess with the setting, rebuild, maybe perhaps the whole scene setup from scratch again, starting over, fresh. And then maybe if there was any corruption at all in there of anything in the setup, it would be a new setup and it would fix it, right? So I'm thinking. But I don't have that flexibility right now. I have to be here 6 days a week, double streams for you guys, because I need to make money. Just being honest, I need to be here to make a living. I wish I could reduce the amount or take time away to do this. I just can't right now. All right? Now, in addition to that, we've already talked about this, that I want to, hopefully, at some point this year, I want to try to upgrade my setup. All right? Now, to upgrade the setup, I can't afford it. What it's going to end up having to be is likely a series of events that we do that are special fundraising events, trying to raise certain tips goals, and those tips would go directly towards the cost of either components or just buying an outright pre-built PC. That would be a much better system than what I'm using now, hopefully an internal capture card, things that could avoid a lot of the issues that I have today. Okay? And in addition, one of the major things that I want to do if I upgrade my PC is then get a better webcam. Instead of maybe getting a webcam, get a camcorder or digital camera that can live stream. So now my visual quality is way improved. Maybe buy some better lighting. Make everything a big step up, right? I want to do that. It's time. I've been using this PC for 8 fucking years, man. It's not going to last forever, all right? I'm not saying it's on its last legs. I just know it can't last forever. And if this PC right now died this very moment, I'd be shit out of luck. I do have a backup PC that's ancient in my closet that I haven't used in like 6 years. I don't even know if it turns on. I'd have to fucking format it. I don't have OBS or anything set up in it. So it'd be like starting from scratch. It would be a nightmare. Okay? So I have to definitely set this up sometime this year. Now, here's the problem with this. All right? I was talking about this earlier in the year. I said, I want to wait till I'm done with Elden Ring, because this is going to be one of my biggest playthroughs I've probably ever done, or at least in the last 5 years, one of the biggest playthroughs I've ever done. And I want to be sure we got all that done before I start messing around, all right, with another idea of upgrading my setup or whatever, okay? We did. We're there now. Now we're kind of in the downtime. However, here's the problem. As I've already explained to you yesterday, right now things are financially slow. Right now, I've been doing this podcast for an hour. I have not received a single tip. Do you see my point? There was a time when as soon as I started every day, people would come in and would support. Now it's like, it's very much slowed down. And I'm not blaming anyone. I've already explained the reasons I feel this is happening, all right? But I'm in a situation where I'm very financially tight right now. Things are not good behind the scenes, to let you guys know. They're just not, okay? I'm hoping to get out of this, but right now it's just not a good time. So that being said, would it make sense for me to start doing a series of fundraisers to raise funds to buy a new PC and a new setup when I am barely getting by paying my basic shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, here's what would happen. Literally exactly what happened last week with the gifted memberships would just happen exponentially. So likely if I did a special fundraiser and I said, hey, let's go ahead and let's raise the funds. And let's say I did 3 fundraisers, 3 fundraising specials over the course of a month and a half. They're all successful. Great. Here's exactly what would happen. All other support would dry up. Just what happened last week. Last week, I got gifted memberships on the channel. People came out in droves, gifted the crap out of memberships on the channel. We went from 380 to 500 within 2 days. Wow, that's great. That's going to all help me, long term when I finally make profit on that stuff, which is over a month takes to get anything out of that, okay? And, then what happened? Tips dried up completely. Some streams we didn't even raise the first tiered goal. Other streams we'd barely hit that. And again, to emphasize, the reason I have these tip goals in place is to make up for the fact that I lost a lot of revenue that I was making when I was a full-time streamer on Twitch. I had over 900 subs a month. I had tons of cheers coming in. I lost all of that when I came over here to YouTube, and I'm not even close to being back to that level. Even now I'm at 500. I used to be over 900, right? The amount of super chats and things is dramatically less here than it used to be with the cheers over on Twitch, okay? Excuse me. So, that being said, I can't have my contributions via tips dry up. That's how I pay for everything. And for a week and a half already, it was very slow. Yesterday, we had a good day. Hopefully, we can keep that momentum going. If I start getting slow days again, right back to square one, you see? Now, imagine I'm asking my viewing audience to support me upgrading my equipment, and I do a series of events to raise funds for it. Great. But now they're not going to also be able to contribute to the normal stuff, right? But then then I'm screwed. I'm shooting myself in the foot. You see what I'm saying? The last thing I would want to do is be dishonest with you guys and say, I'm doing a special event to raise funds so we can upgrade all my equipment. And then I say, oh, well, this event was successful, but now I can't afford to upgrade my equipment and I'm using the money for something else. That I definitely don't want to do. That would be the worst, absolute worst case scenario for me, where I'm being dishonest with you guys on how something that you guys supported was supposed to be appropriated or used, and then I don't do that because, been there, done that, over the years. Take a look at my Down the Rabbit Hole Dark Side Phil and how just a few little Patreon goals. Oh, I'm going to reboot Project 7 and do a trailer. Oh, I'm going to do a series of Minecraft streams and I only do like 2 or 3 instead of the 5 to 6 that I promised, or however number it was, because I don't remember exactly in my head. But you see the point I'm making here is when you promise something and then if you overpromise and underdeliver, you will monstrously disappoint your supporters. And I know that from history. I don't want to relive the same mistakes and make them twice, 3 times, 4 times, 10 times. So the last thing I want to do is say to you guys, hey, let's do special events. Let's raise funds for a new setup. And then I have to put that towards the basic bills that I'm paying and I can't afford the new setup. And people are like, where did it all go? What happened? You promised us the world. We rallied and then you didn't live up to it. Okay? So there you go. That's why I'm not really rushing to do an equipment upgrade right now. However, it stands to reason that when I do an equipment upgrade, whenever that finally may be, which I want to do as soon as possible, but again, it's going to depend on my financial stability, right? Even when we get to that point that we can do an equipment upgrade, all right, then it would absolutely, positively make sense to possibly finally say, let's ditch OBS. What are the programs that other people use to stream and capture? Likely they're better. I've heard people telling me now that OBS is very finicky. It's unstable. A lot of people have issue with it and don't like using it because it's not basically it's good for a freebie program, but it's certainly not something that a lot of professionals are using because it does have issues. The funny part about it is I haven't really experienced those issues till yesterday. 5 years I used OBS and it was stable. And it wasn't until yesterday that the animation stopped working and I'm faced with an issue that I can't fix. Okay? So, right now, I have no idea what I can really do in regards to fixing the issues. Right now, I do have still PreStream artwork, no animations, and I can't fix that. Right now, we have absolutely no pop-up animations for contributions, and I can't fix that. None of them work. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to fix it. No one on the internet seems to know how to fix it. No one. It seems to be an issue unique to my setup, right? Right? So, I don't know. I don't know what to do to fix it. I feel like okay. I'm stumbling over my words here because I'm actually frustrated. I hate situations where I have absolutely no control over something. I hate that. I like to feel that at least, even if you can't stop everything from happening, usually you can at least have some control over a situation. You can stop the bleeding, as they say. In this case, like I said, the only thing I can think of would be to fully uninstall OBS, hopefully back up everything here that I've done, the setup, reinstall from scratch, and then import the setup data and see if it works and go from there. But even then, that doesn't guarantee it's going to work. And that's a lot of work to do. And there's no guarantee that's going to work. Then the other thing that would be after that would be forget my existing setup here. Maybe that's the reason why it's not working. Maybe there's some kind of a glitch or corruption, and just reset up everything from the start, completely from scratch. Start setting up everything again, overlays and everything, not even having them in place, but just completely square one. And that, seriously, that's going to take a lot of time. And sadly, it's just time I don't have. Like, last night, okay, just messing around with this and trying to get it to work, I was in this office until past 10:30 at night. I go downstairs, and of course, Kat's upset. She's like, you're stuck in there every night super late now. And I'm like, I know. And this is like the 1 to 2 hours a day we get to sit down, relax with each other, maybe watch something, talk about our day. And now that time is reduced because I'm stuck in the fucking office with tech issues. And it's not fair. It's not. I want to have a life with my wife. I'm in this office 90% of my day. I have to. And thank God I like my job. Can you imagine if I hated this job? Again, I looked at people like Wings of Redemption, who we did down the rabbit hole about, and he claims he hates his job. He hates doing it. Dude, I can't imagine if that was me. Imagine being stuck in a room 90% of your life and you hate it. Thank God I like this. You know what I'm saying? But I want to spend more time with my family, not less. I'm in a situation where I'm trying to hopefully eventually get to that point, and now this shit has to happen, So I'm just kind of venting now, obviously. I guess I'll end this segment is if anyone knows anything about OBS, has had similar things happen. For some reason, the browser plugin doesn't work anymore, and you can't get those animations to play. If anyone has any idea of a way that I can possibly fix this, all right, I would be all ears, because I have no clue what's going on right now. I'm completely at a loss. All right? I don't know what's happening. And it frustrates me that I have no control over it. And it seems like there's no solution that anyone on the internet would understand. Like it's going to be me just fucking around constantly, hoping for a Hail Mary fix, This sucks. Black Lady Walking says log files. Use the log tool they provide online or learn how to read them yourself. No, Gravy, I'm not using Elgato. My capture device is actually called the Avermedia A3 Extreme Cap External Car. It's very old. It's like a 2014 model, if not older. It's probably like 2012, 2013 because I bought it in 2014. It's an external capture device that I've been using. And I don't think it's affecting OBS. I mean, the capture device has nothing to do with the browser plugin. You know what I mean? They're completely separate things. And it seems it's still working, you know. Zamfer says, well, why don't we try finding the older OBS version you used and reinstalling that? I could, but what's the point? The animations didn't work in it. You see what I'm saying? Like, the only thing, if I revert back to the old OBS, okay, fine, I'll get the full slideshow back with the animations. The slideshow is not my concern. My concern is I have no animations playing here for contributions. So, all the responsibility lies on me to give shout-outs, and that's fine. I'm okay doing that. But I'm nervous that people might be upset that they're not getting the animations anymore. I don't want people to feel like they had something that's now been taken away, and like, I didn't mean to do that. I don't know what's going on. I feel bad. This is something that was nice, that was integrated into the streams for years and years and years. And now it's suddenly gone after 5 years, and I don't know what the fuck happened. You know? Hobo X says, you can close OBS, rename the OBS setting folder from OBS Studio to Studio 2. When you relaunch, it acts like a fresh install. Again, I don't even know, because I don't even know if the folder is called that. I don't think it is. This is always the problem with tech shit, is we can sit here and we can talk back and forth forever, but until we actually know the technicalities of it, it doesn't matter. Like, we're all just, this is all guesswork, supposition. Until we're actually sitting there on the computer looking at the names of files and shit. How do I name this? How do I move this? Oh, I hate this. Where would the logs be? Where would the logs be located? Anyone know? Because this seemed to be an issue that happened overnight from Thursday to Friday. As of Thursday, animations were working. I know for a fact I received a $30 tip Thursday night during the Uncharted 2 stream, and it worked fine. I know this for a fact. Okay? And then it seemed Friday morning is when all of a sudden the animations had stopped working. Help log files, view current log. Really? It's that simple? Gravy just gave me okay, I'm going to screen cap that. Wait, what's this? I clicked the wrong thing. That's not it. I took a picture of that. I referenced that later. He basically told me how to get to the log file for OBS. I'll have to check that and see if it says anything. Okay. All right. So that's it, guys, for now. Today, there will be no animations, and there's nothing I can do about it. All I can do is try to make an attempt to have some free time to look at this and figure it out. I don't know if I ever will. I don't know if I have the tech know-how to figure it out. Like I said, I looked online. No one seems to have answers, because this seems to be a unique situation. Basically, what people said is, online, if you're testing the Streamlabs or Stream Elements animations in a browser and they work, that means that it's not Stream Elements or Streamlabs that's an issue. It means your OBS is having some kind of a connectivity issue to the browser, and therefore you'll never get an animation to work. However, no one has a solution of how to fix it. No one. No, there's no OBS support, because OBS is open broadcast software. It's open. It's free. They don't have paid employees. You see? It's a free deal. It's not like you're paying money to use it and then they have tech support. It's free. Okay. All right. So let's get to shout-outs, because there have been contributions. You guys don't know about it because you can't see them. So let's do some shout-outs. What's up, Derek? Happy Saturday to you. So, on the YouTube side of things, shout out to Barely Legal, who did the first super chat of the day, saying, Phil, I just want to mention your reaction to your own Down the Rabbit Hole was factually true and not subject to opinion. I disagree, because here's the thing. My reaction to my own Down the Rabbit Hole video is true to the extent that I remember it from my own perspective. Okay? And whenever you are listening to a testimonial or you're listening to someone tell a story that they're involved in, all right, you have to understand that. Yeah, you have to understand that. And it's all about perspective, and it's all about how you remember. It's what's funny is people actually, it's been found scientifically that over time your memories can actually change into making you remember something in a way that maybe it didn't actually happen. This has been scientifically proven that over time, I guess your brain rationalizes certain things, and so you very well could remember something in a way that's not factually how it happened at the time. Your brain is not photorealistic. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a photogenic memory where you always remember everything. What I talk about when I'm reacting to my own down the rabbit hole, I'm telling you everything from my perspective, from my best knowledge, right? It doesn't mean that it's 100% factually true. In any situation, there's one side, the other side, and then there's actually what happened. And that's the thing. Looking at something from a subjective perspective, it's impossible when you're involved in a situation to be fully objective. You understand that, right? Like, it is. It's completely impossible to be completely objective about something that you were involved in. You were part of it. You're a subject of it. You have to be subjective. You understand? So I just want you to understand that, like, please understand that when you watch anything, any documentary, anyone reacting to something, anyone, you know, they're always got to take it with a grain of salt and understand that's their perspective, that's their take, that's how they saw it as maybe it was going down. It doesn't necessarily mean it was 100% factually, objectively what happened or true, okay? All I can do is give you my own take on these situations. In the case of the Down the Rabbit Hole video, there was a lot of missing information or misinformation. Case in point, the whole video opens up with my history in Street Fighter and says a bunch of stuff about me that a lot of people like to say is common knowledge, when in reality, it's common shit talking. Back in the day, people hated me in the Street Fighter community because I was an outspoken dude and I was a shit talker. So they would say these things that weren't true. And the funny part is, the supposed evidence used in the video to say I was like that isn't evidence at all. The video uses evidence is from 2009, 2010. That's after my days as a competitive Street Fighter player. It doesn't even make sense using something as an example that's much later on than when I was in the competitive community. So that's what I mean. That's just one example, okay? Where when you have a bunch of things that are commonly just said on the internet about someone, sometimes it just becomes a groupthink mentality where they just believe it's true when it's not. And then oh, well, look, here's the justification. Oh, well, everyone's seen the evidence. It must be true. That wasn't even evidence. It wasn't even the same thing that was happening. It was a completely different time period, you know? So, that being said, that's really where I feel me reacting to a video like Down the Rabbit Hole, or maybe this John and Howard video, is going to come into play, is because I can call out those inconsistencies and fully explain them so that everyone gets a full perspective on what's actually going on. I'm not saying that everything that I say is 100% factually true. I'll be honest with you, with this John and Howard video coming up, all I can tell you is what I remember. I mean, we're talking about stuff that happened 10 or more years ago. I don't necessarily remember it all. My brain didn't necessarily think that every moment that I spent with those guys would have to be completely documented, because 10 years later I was going to be doing a video on this stuff, you know. You see? So, that being said, you know, just understand that. I appreciate what you're saying, Barely Legal. You're basically trying to stick up for me and be like, listen, when Phil's reacting, this stuff is true. To the best of my knowledge, yes. I'm not going out of my way to fib and lie and spin truths. I'm trying to tell you what I remember. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's 100% factually true. Absolutely, I'm sure there's people who could go out there and say, well, I remember something differently. And if that's the case, that's fine, you know. But all I can do is tell you from my remembrance and my perspective, okay? Saul Martinez did a super chat, says, do you prefer light beer or dark beer? The only dark beer I really like, I think, is Guinness. Then again, I don't drink a lot of dark beer. I think lighter beer, like a beer that I really like is Blue Moon, because I think Blue Moon has that nice citrus air, and it makes me think of like a fresh orange when I drink it, and I like that about it, because it's like light. Is it a pale ale? I don't know exactly which one it is, but it's a good one. Something like that I really enjoy. But then again, I like Guinness, and Guinness is very, very dark beer. So, Mango Jewel Pods did a super chat, and said, I would donate for you to get a PC to game on over any other fundraiser, opening up the option for hundreds of unplayed games and tons of free ones too. I hear ya, and people over the years have said stuff like that. I mean, my number one priority would be getting a PC that's better for what I'm already doing, meaning upgrading my capture device, upgrading my capabilities of my webcam, making it so that I can do silky smooth 1080p 60 frames per second video without frame drops and without my CPU maxing out, right? That would be the priority. And then anything on top of that, like, oh, by the way, you know, this is great. Let's also play games on this thing because it can handle it. That would be a nice added thing, you see. Okay. Mango Jewel Pots also became a channel member today. Thank you so much for joining as a member, Mango. I appreciate that. Bama Ham Yum just did a super chat saying just got off work and I'm excited for your stream. I'm glad. It's good to have you here, Bama Ham. And by the way, I should say this, anyone who's watching this pre-stream on demand and has any kind of knowledge or expertise about OBS and why these animations might have just stopped working, please let me know. Leave a comment. I really need help right now. I'm trying to find solutions without having to destroy my schedule or fuck with stuff, you know? Anything. Literally anything would help. Thank you. Okay. Okay. On the tip side of things, there have been some tips. The first tip today was from Bibimbop, who tipped me $4.20. I said, I definitely understand what it's like to feel like you never have enough time in the day. I work full-time and some overtime. I have to take care of my family, and I fix stuff when it breaks. Sucks, but if I don't, then it builds into a crisis. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like, you know, I'm here all day to make ends meet, to make enough money to, you know, pay most of the bills and everything. And then on top of that, I'm also responsible for the house, making sure that everything works in the home. That's correct. And then, you know, support for my wife and everything and my family. And we got a pet, all that stuff. It's a lot of responsibility, you know. And let me tell you, I love it. Like, I love my life. Again, I want to reiterate because I know today is kind of a bitch fest when it comes to OBS. This definitely was the OBS bitch fest today. But I want you guys to understand that I really like my life. This is the best life I've ever lived right now. It's funny, I'm 40 years old, and so many people hit a midlife crisis when they hit 40. And I'm the opposite. I'm enjoying life more today than I was before, ever. And I mean that, but the days when I was single, the days when I was traveling, going to conventions and shit, all that time, it was frivolous. I was traveling for Street Fighter. Now I feel like I have a meaningful life. I love this. So understand that this stupid OBS issue right now is just another dumb hurdle to get over, another stupid, lump in the road to jump around, and we'll get past it. We'll figure shit out eventually, There you go. Snow Carl to the $1.50 says, have you considered taking a short course on rudimentary tech and computer stuff so you can more efficiently handle this kind of tech issues that you're having recently? It might improve the stream greatly. Well, here's the thing. There's a difference between rudimentary tech knowledge and what I'm doing. What I'm doing is not rudimentary. This is a very specific skill set. Knowing how to not only stream, capture, run animations, but then knowing the ins and outs of how to doing it in a specific software, that's like the most minutia of data to learn. And that's the thing. There's nothing online to definitively answer questions. So I'll give you an example here. Oh my God, my pre-stream won't play all the art anymore. What happened? I go online and literally no one has a solution to the problem. Well, there's a limitation now in OBS. There's nothing you can do. One person goes, oh, you could do a video and edit your slideshow into a video and play it as a video source. Someone's like, so then you didn't fix the slideshow. You stopped using it entirely. I mean, yeah, duh. Obviously, I could stop using the slideshow entirely if it doesn't work, but I'm looking for a solution to use the slideshow. You see what I'm saying? When you have something open source like this, there's no definitive place to go to even get your answers. So I know what you're saying. Oh, get a rudimentary education on it. I do have a rudimentary education on it. I know the basics. The problem is this is like the most specific minutia part of doing it that's not working. That's why there's no solution to it, you see? Bibimbop did another $4.20 tip. Says technical work and tools is largely trial and error and learning from trying different things. Oh, I know from back in the day when I used to build PCs and troubleshoot. Just the reality of it, unfortunately, either have to try it or accept that you can't use those tools. All right, you're right. You're right. And, I don't want animations to go away forever. I know the ultimate solution here is to say, fuck OBS, It's had its time in the sun for me, but it's just not working anymore. Time to get another software set and learn it and reset up everything and start from scratch. The thing is, if I'm going to do that, I want to do that in tandem with a big upgrade to all my equipment and everything too. Don't do a change now and then have to do another change later. Do all the changes at once. So that way, if there is downtime or there's an issue, it can be all done at once and get it out of the way. And then we can get to business afterward. You see? There you go. All right. Thank you, Bimbo. I think there's another super chat that came in. Mango Jewel pops in another super chat and says, can we get a little Jasper FaceTime for Catterday? If I hear him in the hallway or I see him, I'll snag him and pull him into the office so you guys can see him. I did so a few days ago, and people seem to like it, but he doesn't always come by the office. He just doesn't, you know. Most of the time, he's in the other half of the house over there, you know. He knows that when I'm in here with the door closed, that basically he's not going to get in, so he usually doesn't even come down this end of the hallway. But see if he comes over here. All right? All right. Guys, let's take a brief break. I'm just going to use the restroom very quickly, and then we're going to jump back into WWE. No animations, but at least I can play the game. Okay? Thank you for everything. Great pre-stream. Thanks for listening to my bitching. And again, if anyone has any suggestions of how to possibly fix this issue with the animations not working, it's basically the browser situation. Whatever it is, the browser plugin or whatever it's called for OBS is malfunctioning and not working for me. And I know that the animations work because I test them in you know, Chrome or whatever they play. They just don't play in OBS, and I don't know what the issue is there. So if anyone has a suggestion, I'm all ears. All right? I am. All right, guys, thank you. Let's end this pre-stream. It's too long.